Masters running.
A subject very close to our hearts.
So I'm John, a competitive Masters runner in the male 55 category on 5k and 10k road races.
And I'm Dawn. I'm a competitive runner in the female 60 category from 5k up to the marathon.
And in this video, we're going to discuss the growing popularity of Masters running both here in the UK and around the world.
So we're going to give you some tips based on our experience as running coaches and as competitors.
So you can continue to enjoy your running as you move up through those Masters age categories.
So we've recently read about a 97-year-old woman who has completed 250 parkruns. You've heard right, 250 parkruns. She's the oldest person to have ever completed that many parkruns.
We also read that there are over 1.25 million registered runners in the UK aged 40 and over, and probably several more 100,000 taking part in parkruns who aren't registered England Athletics, Welsh Athletics or Scottish Athletics members. When I look back at old race results from when I started running, one thing I'm really struck by as I go through all the age categories is how few people who are running age 60 and older, particularly in the female categories. Here we have the Bounty 10k in 1999, the first race I ever did, and if we do a search for female 60s, we will find that there were just 2 in that age category. However, same town, same distance, 26 years on, I did a search and there were 38 runners in the female 60, 65, 70 and even 75 age categories, so a massive increase. I think one of the reasons for that is people who were 60 maybe around the turn of the millennium have been brought up in an era where you either did sport seriously or you didn't do it, whereas in the last 20 years with the rise of movements such as parkrun, running is seen as much more of an inclusive and generic endeavour for people and not just for those who are keen to improve in terms of competitiveness.
Yes, it's much more of a big movement in fitness these days. So a lot of people will run for fitness. They'll just run for pleasure, for social reasons, not really to complete or compete in races.
It's actually more complete rather than compete. But it is inevitable as you get older that your times will eventually start to slow. You'll probably pick up more aches and pains. So running as a Masters runner takes some more creative thought and insight than merely lacing up your trainers and heading out the door.
Yes, that's right. Age is a natural process. There's nothing we can do about reversing it, but we can do lots of things to actually enhance and enjoy our running as we mature.
So one phase of my running I found difficult was when I got to my late 30s and early 40s, and it became increasingly apparent that there were no longer going to be any personal bests over the main road racing distances.
Yes, I think for the majority of us, when we're running and we get PBs, we always think there's going to be another PB. You always think, oh, next time I'll go quicker. So we think, yes, we're going to get faster and faster until eventually we don't.
That's right, and it might not be at any particular age. As I say, it was for me in my late 30s, early 40s, because I started competitive running age 29. It may be you're still setting PBs like some of the runners we coach well into your 60s because you started relatively late in life. But at some point, the actual times you run are going to start slowing. So the first thing you can do to address that slowing of times is to use something called age grading calculators. Now you may have seen these if you do parkrun. Every week you get your results saying how fast you ran, but you also get a percentage score, something called an age grading. Now how that works is, without going into complicated maths and algorithms, it takes the age you are, so I'm 55 years old. Let's say I do a 10k race. It takes the time I get, sets it against the best time ever run in history by a male 55, and then gives me a percentage of how good I am compared to that. So generally at the minute, if I ran a really good 10k road race, I'd get an age grading of somewhere around 75%. So let's say roll forward 5 years and I'm running slower over 10k than I am now, which is highly likely. I can still aim to get that age grading score at 75% or even improve it to 76 or 77%. So though I'm getting technically slower, I'm actually getting quicker in terms of age grading. We have a little phrase I like to use: the older I get, the faster I would have been. Dawn keeps going, she'll soon be breaking a notional world record. So I'll put a link below in the description about one age grading calculator that we use. So it's really interesting to plug some of your times in from maybe when you were 10 years younger, 20 years younger, or think in 10 years time or 5 years time or even 2 years time, what time do I need to be running to hit a certain percentage?
So yes, the first thing you can do as a Masters runner to continue to enjoy your running is to use age grading to measure your performance. The next thing you may want to do is to take part in Master-specific competitions.
So at a micro level, you might be in a club like ours that gives awards at the end of each year for the best performing runners over road or cross country or fell within each 5-year age category.
So each region of the UK will have Masters clubs.
That's right, we've been members of Northern Masters Athletics Club. I know there's Vets AC that cover the South East, South West Vets, obviously, Welsh Masters. So yeah, if you're particularly interested in taking part in Masters competitions against other Masters runners, then there are those clubs, and we'll leave a link in the description below if you wanted to reach out and contact one of those. Another example, a race is organised by the British Masters Athletics Federation. Those of you following my current 5k training series will know that I'm targeting the British Masters 5k in Battersea Park on the 30th of November. So that's my goal race, running against other people in my category and seeing how far I can finish up the pecking order. Hopefully better than the 28th out of 30 I finished last year.
Or the British 3,000 metres indoor championship.
The British Championships, you've qualified for them.
I know. Or the British Masters 3,000 indoor championships, where I fell on the track.
And I got lapped 7 times. In the county we live in, Yorkshire, there's something called the Yorkshire Veterans Athletic Association, and they run a series of Grand Prix races and championships which take place within other open road races. So have a look in your area for opportunities for Masters to take part in competition against other Masters runners in their age and gender categories. So the second way you can enjoy running as a Master as you get older is to take part in competitions against other Masters athletes.
So the next thing we think is quite important as you progress through the Masters categories is to have a flexible approach to your training.
That's right, I'm now 55, as I said. If I tried to train like I did when I was 35, when I was running 85 to 90 miles a week, I'd get ill, I'd get injured, I'd wash myself out, and I wouldn't enjoy my running at all. I now realise for me, there is a new sweet spot of mileage, which is around 50 to 60 miles a week. I also have to think holistically about my training in terms of doing lots more strength and conditioning, lots more mobility work than I did when I was 35. Actually, when I was 35, I just thought if you ran, that's all you needed to do. And if you wanted to get better at running, you did more running.
Yes, I've always been a bit of a mileage queen, but if you don't want to focus on mileage and you want an easier way to look at your training, you could train to how many hours you do per week. So recently I've been training for the marathon, and for many of my runs I've been running them to minutes because that's how my coach has been setting them. So the week before last I covered 11 hours of training, which actually is a significant number of hours. But within that I also did quite a lot of, as John said, S&C and mobility work as well, because it's really important when you actually mature and you get a bit older, you need to do these things to keep yourself supple and able to go out and get those hours of training in.
So rather than thinking, oh, I used to do 80 miles a week, I'm only doing 50 now, I actually think, well, I used to run for 9 or 10 hours a week and do not much else. I can now run for maybe 7 or 8 hours a week, but do 2 hours a week of strength and conditioning and mobility, and I'm working just as hard. I can tell myself, which is right, I'm putting just as much in as I used to. I just have to think more flexibly about what that training mix looks like. And it's not just running as training, other things are training too. So as running coaches ourselves who have a lot of Masters athletes on our books, we do help them think more flexibly and more holistically about the training and maybe make those jumps, help get over those log jams that maybe appeared in their running because they were trying to do everything the way they've always done it.
So on that note as well, remember, as we've said on other occasions, you don't have to fit everything into a 7-day cycle. You could actually have a 10-day cycle or a 12-day cycle where you fit your runs in.
That's right, because one thing about Masters running, particularly as people maybe hit the 60s and cut down work or even retire from work, they have a lot more flexibility in their schedules and are not tied to a working cycle, which may involve a 7-day training cycle. So yeah, thinking flexibly about your running, maybe with the aid of a running coach, is one way to help you continue enjoying your running as you move through those Masters age categories. So the fourth element that's really important in helping you to continue enjoying your running as you move through those Masters age categories is to think more flexibly and holistically about your whole lifestyle. not just about the training mix, the runs you do and the strength work and the mobility work you might do, but to think about those other health issues. For instance, as you get older, for most people, your metabolism slows. Being able to eat has always been one of my great strengths when it comes to running, but I do realise now if I tried to eat like I did when I was 35, I'd put on a lot of weight. I have to think more carefully about food being fuel. I have to think about what I eat, when I eat it, at the time of day, in relation to my running, in relation to my work cycles. I could also go for weeks without having a sports massage. Now, if I don't have one for 3 or 4 weeks, my legs tell me that I need one. So we book in regularly with our friend who does sports massage and body mechanics and movement. She knows both our bodies very well, can pick up any early warning signs that might lead to us not enjoying our running as masters, because we'll get ill, injured, or carrying around chronic conditions that make it uncomfortable to run. So we invest in that holistic aspect of our running in terms of having regular massage and treatment from our friend who specialises in that area.
So there are a range of things you can use in the home, which are some quite expensive and some not expensive. So for instance, we have some Recover Pro pants, which are inflatable trousers that put pressure on our legs, compression on our legs and help the muscles to recover. But then there's things like massage guns, which are not so expensive. There are things like spiky balls, which you can use to manipulate your muscles and help them recover. And also there are rollers, foam rollers. So there's a lot of things you can actually have in the home to help holistically, to help with recovery, so you can continue to enjoy your running as a masters athlete.
And the fifth and final way in which you will continue to enjoy your masters running is to have a purpose for it, or as I say these days, to know your why.
So your why may not be to be competitive. It may just be that you want to be fit, you want to be healthy, and you want to run for pleasure.
Recent studies have shown that people who continue to exercise later into life have slower cognitive decline, are more socially engaged with the world around them, and actually have better health benefits, not just in terms of their physical health, as they continue to take part in sport. So maybe like us at the minute, we're still chasing goals. Dawn still wants to run for Welsh Masters for as long as she can. I want to run times that might qualify me to run for England Masters eventually. I want to hit specific goal times. Do you know what? When I hit 75 or 80, I hope I'll be happy. Like many runners we know, some very inspirational runners, even at our own running club, still out there in their 70s and their 80s, taking part in club competitions. You just see the vitality and life in their faces when you speak to them, when you run past them. And I look at those and I think, do you know what, 20, 25 years time, wouldn't it be wonderful to be like those? So yes, so many wonderful things that can come into your life by continuing to enjoy your running as a masters. Yes, competition, yes, sociability, but actually that gold elixir of slowing down your physical and cognitive decline as you get older. We've met people in their 80s, runners, who are still sharp as anything, in fact sharper than many people half their age. And I'm sure running has played a big part in keeping them mentally and physically alert and engaged with life. What a wonderful gift running can bring.
So there you go, folks. 5 ways in which you can continue to enjoy your running as a masters runner as you go through those different categories.
Yeah, it's certainly something we've learned to embrace as we've continued our running journeys, which began 25, 30 years ago. And I would say personally, I'm probably enjoying my running as much, if not more now, than I was when I was at my best in terms of being my fastest. I can see the more holistic benefits of the sport. I can see the communities we engage with, the people we meet, the memories we build up over time. Really is a wonderful thing. Embrace it.
I want to run forever.
We now turn to page 83 in our hymn books. So I hope you've got something from that. Either you're a masters runner yourself and some of these points we've made chime home with you, or you will be a masters runner in the coming years, and there's some tips there on how to handle that process and retain that motivation and joy for running that you have now as a senior runner.
So if you've liked this video, give us a like. And if you haven't subscribed already, of course, we'd love you to do so. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us with the channel. And so until next time, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.